Hi.
Hi. Yeah. How
How's
are
it
you?
going? I'm so good. I
Oh
had such a fun time watching you figure that out just now.
my God. I That's an angle that no one needs to see is like me right up here. But our social media, like head bitch in charge was like, you need to pin the comment, you need to tell everyone who you're with, and I have never
Yes.
pinned a comment.
I
So
don't, I don't envy the position at all. Like I've done a couple of things like this, and every time I'm the one who has to like start it or organize it, it's just like 15 minutes of me being like, "What is
it's
this?"
and I'm like, I'm like a great, like, I don't know. This last couple lives I've done is my first time meeting someone on the internet. Weird. Like, I like to
Yeah.
connect. I like to feel energy. So I'm like trying to figure out how this. I mean, I'm a millennial, but like, it's weird to do this.
No, none of us are like really built for this to be our primary like way of communicating. It's strange for sure. But you're killing it. You're doing a great job.
You know what? I'm doing the best I can. How are you though? How's quarantine? Where are you? Who are you with? What's going on?
I'm well. I'm good. I am quarantining in Los Angeles. I live with my boyfriend and our 6-month-old puppy.
Oh,
And I really can't complain considering everything that's crazy in the world. Like we feel a little cramped sometimes and we certainly get cabin fever, but we're doing good. Our main kind of obstacle right now is that he's a puppy and we're supposed to be sort of socializing him and like introducing him to
right.
other dogs and other people. And now because of quarantine, I'm pretty convinced he just thinks that the three of us are all three dogs. Like I think he's just like, well, the three of us are the same and we all live together in this house. So
This
but
is
other than that, it's great.
this is what he thinks his life is gonna be like
Yeah.
forever, but he doesn't know. That's crazy.
No.
I mean, it affects everyone so differently, and I try not to complain too, but it's like I mean, my nana is 83, and she's like, I've never lived through anything like this, so I guess we're all
I
learning.
know. It's so unheard of. It's so insane. I've talked to my grandparents about it too, and they're just like, this is nuts. And I'm like, if you guys think it's nuts, then it really is nuts because you guys have seen some stuff.
It's
So,
true.
but we're figuring it out, and I'm like proud of California's doing okay at flattening the curve. So I'm hoping that things are gonna get better, and it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great. That's my mantra. I'm gonna tell myself. Uh, so I also want to thank you for making time. I mean, I know we're all not doing a lot, but you are literally on the biggest show right now. I mean, I I can say that confidently. I haven't met a person who hasn't been obsessed with the show. So I really appreciate you
Thank
taking time
you.
to talk to me. Um, it's
Thank
I
you
just
for
like
having me. Of course.
I can't say enough. Like I'm obsessed. I Everyone was texting me like you need to watch Dave, you need to watch Dave, and I'm like, oh God, we're all watching so many things, and I'm just in love. It's unlike anything I've ever seen,
Yeah.
and I have to gush over you because I couldn't like I felt like I was watching like a reality show because you were so good at playing Allie. Like I mean I don't
Thank
obviously
you.
know your real life, but I mean performance was so believable and real and like I haven't seen anything like it. You should be so proud of yourself, seriously.
Thank you. I would like you to be in my pocket and tell me things like that all the time, please.
Listen,
Uh,
I'll put a little pocket inside of the pocket and I'll just be but no, I like really feel that way. I'm an energy person. Everyone makes fun of me because I'm kind of a hippie. And I was like, I need to like I want to talk to this girl because you crushed it.
Thank
Um
you.
You crushed it. And I want to know, I mean, I know you're in quarantine, but I want to know how life has been different since you've been on the biggest show that's out right now. Like, what has changed for you?
It's definitely different. It feels all at once. I mean, I've been telling people it's bizarre to have kind of the biggest thing happen to my career and in my
Mm-hmm.
lifetime also be simultaneously happening to the biggest thing to like our it's like me human this whole so to have a hit TV show during the
Right.
pandemic, it's like in and of itself, I wake up every day like, is this whole thing a dream slash nightmare? But no, it's been great. I've loved the response from people. Everybody has been really connecting to the show. I do think that these things happening simultaneously are it's no, I mean, people are connecting to it because it's also a positive show with really heartfelt moments, and there's a lot of levity to it, and there's a lot of joy in it. And I think that's what we all really need right now. So the timing of it in terms of just like entertainment and escapism couldn't be better. For me as an actor, it's been unreal to have so much like recognition and kind of like connection with people and audiences, and then people in the industry watching it has made me feel it's, I mean, being an actor is tough, and there's a lot of no's, and there's a lot of times when you feel very small, and this show has made me feel very big all of a sudden, which feels overwhelming, and I'm so unbelievably grateful for it. And I'm so happy that I love, you know, this character is so smart and funny and independent and cool, and she helps bring value to the show and love to the show. And I just, to have that be kind of like my vehicle in this big break is unreal. It's crazy.
I hear you, because I can't imagine going through, so this whole, you know, the quarantine and COVID and all that, you're going through something really heavy, a trauma really, and then you're going through the biggest break in your career. I can't imagine those two things happening together.
Yeah, it's strange.
It is strange. It's like it's too much to process, almost like I'm sure that's how you feel. When did you know, because by the way, this show would have been big with or without us needing to be brought together. Like, this show is amazing.
Thank you.
When did you realize that you were working on a project that was special and different? Was it when you guys were filming? Was it when it was airing? Like, when did that click for you?
I've always been a really big fan of Dave's, and I love everything that Lil Dicky does. I think he really believes in the art of the joke in an incredibly unique way. So from the very get-go of knowing that Dave was working on a show, I knew it would be special because I knew it would be funny. But in terms of it being something even bigger than that, it wasn't until our first table read. We did a table read of the first episode, and I kind of saw, I was like, oh, this is so much more than just a comedy. They've added all of these layers, and they've cast people with depths, and there's more missions here than to just like get a laugh out of people. And I was like, oh, wow. And the team around the show is so seasoned and smart and cool, but still fresh and awesome. Like, everybody behind the scenes and on camera was just such pros. So I was like, okay, this is going to be great. And then I'm very superstitious. I come from like a theater background. Yeah. I like love baseball and sports. I'm very superstitious. So while we were working on it, different people working on the show and like people in the crew who've been in the industry longer than me, they know what they're talking about. We're like, this is going to be big. Like, this has potential to be a really big, really cool show that people connect with. And I always was like, stop, don't say that. Like, let's just make a show and make the best we can make it. And let's hope that people love it and that we're proud of it is all we can ask for. So I'm so happy that they are all proved right in this time.
I'm sure everyone could feel that it felt different. I mean, it's fresh, it's new, it's something people haven't seen. And what I think some people don't know is that you and Dave, aka Lil Dicky, met years ago, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to like go into that a little bit?
Yes, I love this story because I think it's just very funny that I was a Lil Dicky fan. I knew of his videos. When I first moved to Los Angeles, his video Let Me Freak came out. Yeah. And there's a really great actress in Let Me Freak, and she kills it. She's so good. But I had a joke with my friend Georgie, and we were like, where were we that day? Like, why weren't we auditioning for this video? Like, we love this video. We could have done this. And then I did a casting director workshop with a really wonderful casting director who was casting a lot of comedies. And she emailed me after the class and was like, hey, I don't know if you're interested in this, but I work with Lil Dicky. You've probably never heard of him. And if you want to come in for his video Pillow Talking, you should do it. And I was like, yes. Oh my God. What are the odds that I just happened to meet this wonderful casting director? So I then auditioned for Pillow Talking, and I got it. And I loved working on the video. I worked my butt off to get it. I like memorized that whole weird song so aggressively. I was at my sister-in-law's baby shower, like doing the lines to Pillow Talking for my audition the next day. And on that set, he told me that he wanted to make a television show. And he was like, that's like my ultimate goal, is to make a comedy and make it like semi-autobiographical and make it about my life. I have too many crazy stories about being who I am and being in this rap world. And I was like, please let me audition for it. Please let me audition for it. And years later, like I got to audition for it and I was so grateful. And I had worked with the casting director before too, because she had cast American Vandal, which I had just worked on. So it was like the timing of it all was great. Like in the years in between Pillow Talking and Dave, I got to earn some more credits and still keep working. But it is really funny that I feel like I did have some home field advantage when I went in to audition for Allie, because I already knew Dave. And so I was like, and we read with Dave. All of the actresses read with Dave. And he's wonderful, but he's so weird. So I definitely, like, my not being thrown off by how bizarre he can be was certainly, yeah, it was certainly an advantage for me. And then I just loved Allie so much that it helped me out a lot. And I auditioned a lot. And then when I got it, it was so great. I was so happy.
That feels like something like, I mean, I don't know what you believe in, but that feels like a crazy, like, I don't know, the events of, you know, you're talking to your friend about that and then you're in the music video and then he says, I'm going to make a show, and you're like, sure. I mean, you know, he says a wild stuff, I'm sure. And you're like, okay. Yeah. And then you go out for him. You're like, okay, I've already been in my bra and underwear in front of you. And yep. It's kind of meant to be. You love the character of Allie, you said, and so do I. What are you, I want to know, because you played her so, like, it's crazy how good you played her. I'm not even, like, honestly, what parts of you are most like? Are you like her? Are there parts that are different? Because it seemed like I was just watching, like, something that was crazy.
Luckily for me, and, like, especially in a show where a lot of people like Dave and like Gaeta are playing themselves, right? Allie is very similar to me in a lot of really fundamental ways, and that I think we have a very similar sense of humor, and I think we also prioritize humor in a really similar way. Like, I think she loves how much Dave makes her laugh, and I think that she can make Dave laugh. Yep. And so that was great to get to lean into that part of me, and that helped a lot of it feel real, because Dave making me laugh on screen is just the same as Taylor laughing. I think that she's a lot bolder than me, and that she is very good at being kind of like direct about what she wants. She's also very pithy. Like, I think she says things to the point kind of quickly, and I can ramble, as you're learning right now. I could just like keep talking for forever and ever. And so there's a lot of things that make us different, but I think that we're similar in that we have a vision of what we want for our future, but they're incredibly different. Like, I think, you know, the actor in me would have so much more empathy for the character of Dave pursuing this rap career. But I also recognize her having such an intense and stable career as a kindergarten teacher that she wants to grow into. Right. She wants a life partner for that, and she has conviction in that. I also relate to as a person and even as an actor. So it's interesting, the going back and forth between how much of it feels like me and how much of it is just like this wonderful character the writers made.
I feel you. So you brought up Gaeta, and that's something I wanted to talk about, because the morning show that I'm on in Chicago, I think the thing that we all agree on that we want to talk a lot about is mental health. Yeah. And all share, I mean, we all have our own issues, but we're all like super, like, I struggle with depression, anxiety, like very upfront with it, because it's just something that's important to all of us. We're all in therapy. It's like, yeah. Joke about it, like antidepressant, all of it. So I was told, and I don't know if this is correct, that Gaeta, that's a real storyline with being bipolar. How was that handled on set? All of it. Like, why was that important to share? How did that go? I mean, because he's doing something that, you know, in his real life. I mean, how did that all go?
Yeah. It's so special, and he's so brave for doing it, because it's all real. I mean, his experiences and his performance and where it's coming from is all from a real place. Like, obviously the situations are scripted, but he was just very on board to tell that part of his story. And I think it's important because, you know, Dave is about Dave's story, and Dave's story isn't just about him. And I think that his relationship with Gaeta is so crucial to who he is as a performer and as an actor. Dave has never done a single concert without Gaeta. Like, their friendship and their best friendship is so real. It's so sweet. It's so sweet. And they appreciate each other so much, and they learn from each other so much. So I think it would have felt dishonest for Dave to tell this story without including Gaeta's story. And Gaeta was on board, and he was so brave and brilliant. And Gaeta is not firstly an actor. He's an unbelievable rapper. He's a really good performer. This was his like first time acting, and fortunately, he got to work with my favorite director in the world, Tony Ascenda, who has directed most of Little Dicky's videos, and he's my boyfriend, so I'm biased. But he helped Gaeta like just kind of get comfortable on set and be like, listen, we're sticking to this script, but the script is coming from a real place. Like, let's get there, and it's going to be, you're safe, and this is an important thing to tell. And he did it, and Gaeta's unreal for doing it. And it is important. He talked a lot about it being something that he didn't feel like was talked about a lot, and especially like in the Black community. And he was like, so I feel like I'm really kind of shepherding this in a really special way. So it's my favorite episode of the whole season, and I'm really proud of everybody who was a part of it.
It was so special, and like I said on the show, we talk a lot about it. So like we all watched the show, and then I came in the next day, and I remember, you know, talking to everyone about it, and just in the studio when it just felt so special, and like unlike anything I'd seen before. He was like, listen, in the flashbacks, he's like, I am and sometimes I feel crazy, and sometimes I'm really tired, and I'm trying out this medication. And I thought that was so important. And the fact that he struggles with that in his real life, I mean, it was beautiful. And I haven't seen anything like that, you know, in a show about a rapper. Like,
no. And that day on set, like the whole crew was like silent. Like the scene of him finally coming out to Mike and Taco and Els, not Taco, and Dave, and he's like, you know, that when he's like, you're rapping about your little dick, and like, this is like, I just want to be honest. Everyone on set, it was so real and so raw that the whole crew was just like so still and moved and quiet. And it was like, I agree. It's like, not only is that something we don't see on TV, I think it's something we kind of don't even really talk about in real life, like just amongst each other. So I think that's what makes it even more like moving.
It was really special. Okay, so when I asked for questions from people, this is kind of a right turn. But
okay.
Questions from fans of the show and from our listeners. I got two things that came up, and they're two of like the most wild things from the show. So the milking scene, everyone brought up.
Yep.
Is milking porn? Is this real? Like, what is happening? Like,
I know. It is real. We basically had that exact same conversation like the day we read the scripts. I was like, is this real, or did we make this up for the show? Because there's obviously so many weird things in the show. I was like, I don't know if this is real. And Dave was like, nope, it's real. And we're in like the writer's room at the production's office, and he like brought over a laptop and was like, this is an example of it. And I was like, okay, got it. I don't want to like kink shame anyone, but I don't need to watch any more of this. I get it. Makes sense. And at first, like, my first reaction reading the script, of course, is like, when the episode starts, you're like, oh no, this is going to be so much. And then once I read the end, I was like, this is perfect. It seems
totally
like kind of shocking, and like it's just like this kind of crazy element of the show, but it ends up being a device in storytelling about vulnerability and like honesty and being, you know, courageous with your partner. And so it's so weird that like I'm proud of the milking table episode, but I am.
I mean, everyone's into what they're into, and I mean, I was done. It's funny because it is a show based on his life, so you know, have to, like, as a viewer, I'm always wondering, like, okay, because I've been a fan for a while, and I just am like, okay, how much of this is real, how much of this is for the show? And then I died when you guys were barbecuing and the tablecloth. It was amazing. It all pulled together. You don't have to answer this, but everyone asked me the storyline about his dick, like the very specific.
Yes. Yeah.
It seems a little specific to be untrue.
It's not untrue. It's all true. And I feel comfortable answering that because I think it's important in terms of understanding the story. Because I would hate for anybody to think that it's fake and then think that he's making fun of those things, or that he's doing it. Like, I think if it becomes, I mean, it's a tough line because it's scripted TV. They have, you know, they have the right to say and do whatever they want because it's fiction. But I think in a show where people know it's semi-biographical, it's important to know that like this is a very like vulnerable thing to talk about. It's and it makes, I think, the show a lot more special, and I think it makes it feel more heartfelt, and it's not ever being gross in that context for the sake of being gross. Like that opening scene of him in the doctor's office in the first episode, I think
yes,
so important in establishing, hey, this is who Dave is, and this is something about him that is like very much a part of his being and his character, and you guys need to know it in order to understand everything that's about to happen. So it is all real. Thank you guys for asking.
Yeah, well, because my best friend and I were Googling, and we're like, okay, you know, I'm an empath, so I'm thinking, okay, this must have been hard for him to share, and I'm Googling, it's a real condition, it's very specific, and he wants to say something about it. So I had to ask, because I mean, there's other people that are dealing with that, and I was like, how much of this is real? Like, you know, because I know he likes to say things to shock people sometimes, I think, in his
of course.
So I didn't know.
It's a valid question, because I mean, it's still, as like I said, it's still a scripted show, so it totally makes sense that people are asking. I want everybody to know that it is, because I would never want people to think that, like, use that as an excuse to just call the show gross. It's like, no, it's real, and it's just a part of Dave's life, and then for him to put it in this, showcase it in this way, is very brave, I think.
It's super brave, and that's why I was kind of hoping, not for his sake, that it was real, but you know, this is like super specific and super brave, so that's dope. It is true. So I love that. And like, speaking of the realness of the show, there's 3 moments of the show that like I really related to, that I have not really seen on television, that I just like wanted to share with you. The first one comes to mind is the scene when you're in the bar in the Pats jersey and they're talking to you. Holy shit. I was like, I've had this conversation. I mean, unfortunately, I'm a Lions fan. I'm from Detroit, so like my life is bad, and I'm not a Pats fan at all, but and I love the Bears as well. I'm in Chicago, but I was like, I've had this conversation where I knew more than I should as a woman, and then
like,
you're like,
wow, you really know,
and you're such a bitch now because you're making fun of me. Like, oh my God, like that was great. So how did that come about? Because I gotta feel, I don't know, did a man write that? I mean, or did you?
I think, I mean, the writer's room is predominantly male, but were women in it, I think, who definitely voiced their perspective in that moment. And on set, it was really fun working with Vanessa McGee, who wrote episode 9, the wedding episode, and who was a co-producer of the show. And she was always on set and very helpful. And it was so fun connecting with her and being like, this scene is so real. Like, I feel it. I know, I'm so happy to hear you feel it. And I loved, after that episode came out, I did get a lot of messages that were like, man, do I feel that bar scene.
I was watching it like, hell yeah, like, you tell him off, because, oh God, I mean, we can't win in those situations. Like, either you don't know enough and you're cute and you're like a little girl doesn't know, or like you know too much and then it's like, oh, it's
and either way, you owe them a conversation. You owe them niceties, and it's like, no, dude, I don't want to talk to you. Like, I'm not being a bitch. I just don't want to talk to you.
Oh my God,
I don't have to talk to you.
If I can ever go to the bar again, my strength is gonna be like,
I know,
like, I'm gonna say like, no, actually, you're sensing that I don't want to discuss this with you, and I'm not gonna talk to you more.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
It's so good. The second one I want to bring up is, and I saw you tweeted that you just had your own version. The bunny scene. It was a bunny, right?
It is a bunny. Yeah. Yeah.
My mom's sister and I had that scene where my mom ran over a chipmunk, and my sister and I are scream crying in the street.
Yeah.
My mom to rerun it over, and she's like, I'm not gonna. And I was like, who would have thought, like, this must have happened? I mean, and then you had your own version.
I had my own version of it. It was terrible. It was yesterday. Was it yesterday? My poor puppy was outside and caught a mouse in his mouth. And I swear to you, I heard the mouse screaming. And I didn't even know that they could do that. I was freaking out. And I didn't want to go to it. I was like, I was an absolute mess. We eventually figured it out. My boyfriend did most of the rescuing, and the mouse is, we think, alive, but it's gone. It's funny. I actually was just talking to the writer of that episode, Vanessa, about this today because I told her about what happened with my dog and the mouse.
It's
And she wrote that bunny scene and she was like, do you know that there's like 4 or 5 different stories that led to that scene being written? One of which really happened to Dave, where Dave was driving with a girlfriend and he hit a bunny and checked if it was alive or not. And when he got back in the car, he was like, I don't know, and kept driving. And another was the writer, Vanessa, that like pulled over to the side of the road at one point and tried to rescue a pigeon with a boyfriend. And the boyfriend was like, we can't call a vet for the pigeon.
The back and forth was so.
Yeah, like that. So all of that like was definitely rooted in that very real experience. But like what you're saying, I think we've all kind of been there. Everybody has had like a weird, like, oh my God, like, what do we do? We can't just like leave it, but we can't do this. I think it's such a weirdly specific, relatable scene that maybe we all forget is relatable because we don't like dwelling on it. Like, I'm sure you don't love thinking about this chipmunk story every day. You're right. And so when we see it, we're like, oh my God, I know this has happened to me. I just hate thinking about it.
Yeah, I love that about the show. And the last one that I don't know if anyone's going to feel me on this that I related to is my now ex-boyfriend and I had the pooping hiking fight.
No!
Swear on my life.
No!
We were in the woods of northern Michigan. We were lost and he really had to poop. And just freaking out. He's like, I'm gonna go. And I said what you said. I said, grow up. Like, girls have been their whole life and just grow the hell up. We gotta figure this. And he's like, I don't know. I'm gonna shit my pants. And I just was like, I texted him. I mean, we're no longer dating. And I was like, you have to watch this episode.
You got to.
Us. Fight in the woods about you pooping. Where did that come from and what did you use for the diarrhea? I have to know.
Yeah, that was a crazy day. I think that I'm pretty sure that there is a story, like a real life story about Dave having a accident of that nature. It's not exactly like what went down in the show. Right. But I think that the show was just waiting for a scene like that. And episode 9 was like the perfect little place to put it because it's a very funny way to exemplify some frustrations in their relationship. Like Allie is like, a carrot did not do this to you. Grow up. Like, you're in front of my family. Like, it's so funny. But if you really were her, you would be like, oh my God, dude, like you can't do this. Exactly like your situation.
Right.
And then the poop, we had like extra special effects crew there. And they had, it was made of like a clay and a cocoa powder, and it starts off like dry in a bag, and then they like add water to it. And then for him sitting over the lake, he was like hooked up to a rig. Like they taped a whole like tube down his back, and there was a special effects woman like pumping something in it was such a to-do. It was like so much. There's actually on the Dave FXX Instagram account, there is a behind the scenes about the poop. And what's funny about it, if I could admit a very like bad look on me, is that every once in a while the Instagram does post like a behind the scenes part. And after episode 9 came out, where I'm in like every scene, I was like, oh my God, the behind the scenes is going to be like cute footage. Like, and I'm going to see me and I'm going to see Dave and the writers and the crew. And we're going to be laughing. And then the behind the scenes thing is just about the poop. And I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. I was just like, I thought it was going to be about all of us and about me, but I guess it's just about the poop. But that video is good because it answers these questions and you can see like the rig and you see, it's so funny. It's just Dave like sipping a Starbucks Frappuccino while he's being rigged up. Like they're taping it to his butt and he's just like sipping a cappuccino. It's like, okay.
That's so, I mean, yeah, because most of the episode was about you and your family. And and then you look and you're like, oh my God, they're going to talk about.
It's like an inside the episode. And I was like, oh, and then I played it and I was like, this is all about the poop.
It was, I could not believe, I'm like, this show is reading my mind. Like, I've been in this situation. I know, like.
That's crazy. Especially both of those scenes are in the same episode. So you were like, are they watching me?
I felt really weird about it. I'm not going to lie. I'm like having to text an ex, be like, you have to watch this because this happened to you. How to hold your bowel movements.
That's so funny.
Okay, so you brought up that episode. Did you, and that was the last scene you shot, right? Was the wedding?
Yeah.
Oh my,
The last episode we shot was episode 9, and that was not our last day of shooting, but it was my last day of shooting, and that sweating speech was the last thing that I shot, which was
oh no.
just brutal scheduling. I was like, who is in charge of this? Because there's some days when you're shooting that you shoot like scenes where you're walking up to a door or you're getting into a car, and I was like, my last scene might be one of those things, and they were like, no, it's your speech. I was like, so it was an emotional day.
Yeah, because you gave that speech. I mean, I was torn apart with like that whole episode. I mean, I feel like everyone's had that fight. And then I was like, as a viewer, imagining like, okay, so he's watching your speech and he's hearing, what you're really meaning. And then I'm picturing like, and you guys didn't show it, but like, did they talk after that or did he just drive home? I mean, was there talk
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, we talked about how it was going to be interpreted from like the audience perspective. Right. We did shoot like Ali sitting back down at the table and him turning around and walking towards his car. Right. So it is on like a very surface level implied that that was like kind of their last conversation of that nature. But I think there's also room for the imagination, and that he could have then texted her and been like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to get my stuff from the room. Like I think that we can all fill in the blanks in different ways, because we're all ultimately coming to the same conclusion, which is that he's leaving without her, which is rough.
Crushed me.
Yeah.
Because it's such a funny show, but like, this is what I'm talking about. It's so relatable. There's so many layers, and I did not expect to be like watching Dave and then bawling, but
yeah,
the relationship, kind of like that, where there's like the discussion and you're with the family and you're realizing that you're not meeting up on what you want in life.
Yeah, there's like a crossroads, and I think those are the most heartbreaking ones, is when there is so much love, like there is with Dave and Ali, and it's hard, but we're seeing a lot of things come to a boiling point in that high stakes weekend in a kind of stressful way, and Dave is having a lot of crazy things happen to his career at the same time.
Yeah,
which is part of the problem.
Right. Oh, damn. I'm like literally going to cry thinking about that episode. Heavy. In terms of the cameos, because those were also iconic, were you like, I mean, Trippie Redd, Kourtney Kardashian, Justin Bieber, who else?
Yeah.
Benny Blanco, like everyone, like, were you on set for all of those? I know you, when Kourtney comes up and is like, I was dying. Yeah. I mean, they were also amazing. Do you have a favorite one? Were you around for those?
I was very floored by breathing the same air as Kourtney. I have like no shame in admitting that. I think especially in LA, there's like a pride in like not keeping up, and I am not part of that at all. I keep up with a capital K, and I was like, this is amazing. One of the most famous, our royal family is the Kardashians. Like, right. And Kourtney is here. Let's all like bow. It was wonderful getting to meet Kourtney. She was very sweet. She smelled so good. She's so petite. She's like so small.
She's like 4'11". Also, like out of all the Kardashians, because I know there's like, I know there's a connect between Lil Dicky and between family, but I was surprised that you guys got Kourtney to agree, because she's kind of the most like, I don't want to be famous, right?
I know. And you know why? I'm pretty sure that Kourtney and Dave had that exact same conversation at a party. And then he contacted her and was like, would you mind like repeating everything that we had talked about on the show? Like, so I think that you're right. Like, Dave has worked with Kendall before, like, and she's is a lot more apt to like be acting in things. And I think a lot of the other sisters would too. But I think that Kourtney also just had a pre-existing relationship with Dave that she felt comfortable coming in and doing, which is really cool. And I think that's how a lot of the cameos were. It's like, Dave is so easy to work with, and it sounds so cheesy to say, but it's true. He's like incredibly easy to work with. He's very, very nice. He's like always making sure that everybody is very comfortable and is in and out on time. And I think that made it a lot easier for people like celebrities and different musicians to be like, yeah, sure. Like, I'll come by. Like, I love Dave. Trippie Redd was so good. I was like, he's such a good actor. Cause sometimes people would come on and like be nervous about or apprehensive about acting. And
about playing themselves.
Yeah, about playing themselves. And I was like, Trippie Redd is so good. He was phenomenal. And the day that Young Thug came, we were all shook. We were like, this is real. Even Dave was like shocked that he ended up coming. And his scene is so funny and so good. And he like came over to me right before we started shooting. He was like, I think this is the happiest I've ever been in my whole life. I think like right now is the happiest I've ever been in my whole
Dave
life.
said that.
Yeah, Dave. Oh yeah, no, not Young Thug.
I was like,
imagine.
whoa, Young
I like Young.
like put a baby in you over here.
I was so intimidated by Young Thug, you don't even know. I was just like smiling and like, hey. And he was like trying to talk to me and I could barely form a sentence. I was like, you're just the coolest person I've ever seen in my life. So, but it was having everybody on set was so cool. And it's fun to see them, yeah, just like want to participate in the show and like hang out. And it's crazy.
I love that. So, I mean, I guess that all like circles back to how, you know, their relationships with Dave, because I mean, seeing people play themselves and then be willing to, you know, take a risk on a project. I don't know. It just like all came together and it felt so real. Like, again, like you're watching just real life. And I love that I know now that the Kourtney Google man gives birth scene really happened. Like, I was like, she played herself. Like, so, which seems like it would be easy, but also hard. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you guys just got renewed for season 2, which is
we did
amazing. I'm so jacked. I mean, I knew you would, but so you don't know. Do you know if there's going to be any more cameos, or you don't know anything about it because you just found?
I don't know any. I mean, I don't know anything about it because I think right now there isn't like too much to know. Mean, they just really got the ball rolling and are talking about just I think how and when to start things because of the way that the world is right now. I know that they're going to be starting a sort of like virtual writer's room, which is crazy but cool.
Yeah.
And I have to imagine that in terms of cameos, first of all, if I'm a gambling woman, I would bet that there's going to be more because season 2, we're going to see Dave's career become more successful and him be more entrenched in the rap world. And I also think that now that the show is out, and people could see what it is, I think that rappers or reality stars or other actors like are going to feel a lot more confident being a part of it. Because you're right, people were really, I mean, Justin Bieber was friggin' taking a risk, not having a point of reference for what the show would be. He just trusted Dave and he trusted the process.
Right.
And so I certainly hope and have every reason to believe that there's going to be even more cameo star power in season 2.
And we need you in season 2. You're involved. I mean, I know you guys broke up. You gotta be involved, right?
Yeah. I am. Yes.
I know you can't say much, but like, I mean, we need it.
I know. I need it. I certainly need it. I think it'll be fun to see like what clarity we get with their relationship, where it stands, and if there is any kind of closure, if that's what we need, or if there is any kind of trying again. I also like Allie and Emma are roommates, and Emma is very much in Dave's world, played by the brilliant Christine Koh, who is so amazing. So yeah, I'm excited. I think like the world is really their oyster. I will also say this is like, I guess sort of sacrilegious coming from me, but I think that there eventually will be so much humor to be found in the situational comedy that would be Single Dave. Like, I know that Allie and Dave are funny and they're great, but I know Single Dave. That's the only Dave I've ever known, and it's hilarious. And the stories and the things that happened to him, like the potential for comedy is so amazing. So I don't think that we haven't seen the end of Allie, but I am excited. Thank God. I'm excited to see the next chapter for Dave as much as I am the next chapter for Allie.
Right. So is he single is he single right now, or does he have a real life girlfriend? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. So there's like some speculation about like whether or not Allie was based on a real person, and it's like she's based off of Dave's dating experiences, but when Dave was in Los Angeles, he didn't have, especially when he first got here, he didn't have a girlfriend. Okay. I've known him for a couple months or years now, and he hasn't had a girlfriend. So I know that a lot of people connect it back to his song Molly, which it makes total sense that people would do that. But Allie is like, I think has elements of that experience that he had with Molly for sure, undeniably so, but is also very much like a fictional character.
Right. Because I was going to say, like, if he did have a girlfriend, how was it like, meeting and, the parallel.
I know.
as long as we can keep you in the show, I'm happy to see him single, but like you need to be a part of the show. You're so great. And I would love to see what happens to the character because I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a super fan.
Thank you.
Your, of course, your Instagram post to him made me tear up a little bit. Just him
Oh.
giving you a break. It was so sweet. What would you say? First of all, do you have a favorite Lil Dicky song? And then also, what would you say is like not at all like his character? Like, is he his character in real life or?
Yeah, he's very much like his character. He's so, I mean, he's playing the honesty and like a lot of his neuroses and a lot of his weird like idiosyncrasies. The fact that he doesn't eat fruits and vegetables, the fact that he asks weird questions, and he's just like, and his really intense like conviction and belief in himself, and how that just like bleeds into every single part of his life. And so he is very, very much like himself. But what I tried to say in my post is also that he is, I think, like so surprisingly selfless, given that all of those things are true. And in my experience working with him for years, he's just always been so generous, like very attentive and a very good listener, a really good partner. And like I'm really blown away, especially considering he had a say in every single thing that went into this show. Like, I do not know how he slept. He was a writer, he was a producer, he was an actor. He would oversee like every little prop, every color that was on set, every costume piece, like my hair color, every single thing. He had such a he was working and never once had a bad attitude, was never like sleepy or ornery or grumpy or mad to be there. He was like so happy and generous. And I think like, especially in this season, it's a little bit harder to see that because we're just seeing like kind of an egocentric Dave trying to prove it that he's the best. And so I think that that's one of the only elements that's really missing from between like character Dave and real life Dave.
Right. What's next for you? Do you have anything other than do? Like, I mean, I know we're in quarantine and nothing's shooting, but
yeah, I mean right now, yeah, everything in Hollywood is a little bit at a standstill. I really want to be out there and like auditioning and being in stuff. And right now I'm doing little Zoom meetings and some self-tape auditions. So I'm excited to see like what the next chapter is once I'm able to be working again. I'm very antsy to be working. I totally understand why I'm not, and I like being a part of the solution.
yeah.
But it's strange. I like want to this momentum from the show. I so desperately want to take advantage of it and be working on so many things. So no, right now I don't have anything crazy in the, like or specific in the future, but I am auditioning for stuff. I'm so eager for season 2. I hope that we can like also safely start to make that as soon as possible because I know everyone wants it and I want it. But other than that, I'm just like quarantining like everybody else and just trying to like read and watch things that inspire me, and you know, that's
I know.
it.
What are you watching? Anything good? Are you drinking like all day like I am? Like what?
Oh, all day. I will be so proud of myself if I go a day and a night without drinking. The next day I'll be like, well, yesterday I was so good. I was so the picture of health.
Right.
I'm balancing it out by watching a lot of stupid TV and then a lot of like very, really good movies. So I watch 90 Day Fiance like it's my job on TLC. I watch a lot of like reality shows. I watch The Real Housewives. I have a podcast with my friend Alyssa. It's called Table Flipping. And we ask people who work in television, like people who work in scripted television, actors or writers or showrunners, producers, to come on and talk to us about their favorite reality show, because reality shows are often, you know, labeled as guilty pleasures. And I think that we're in the golden age of television, and that includes reality TV. And then we've been watching, my boyfriend and I have been doing like a Coen Brothers marathon of movies, which is good because they're a lot, it engages my brain a lot better than 90 Day Fiance does. This weekend I watched Peanut Butter Falcon and Waves for the first time, 2 unbelievable movies. So yeah, I'm just trying to watch like very good movies while I watch my very bad TV.
I respect balance because when I am unwinding, I need to watch like tonight we got Real Housewives of New York. I would love to do on Watch What Happens Live. I think you would be great. We need to get to have you on.
The dream. Yeah.
the dream. But yeah, I have to like, I always tell my coworkers, I'm like, I'm done learning for the day. So like when I'm done learning,
Yeah.
I want to watch women argue with each other, you know?
There's such value in pure entertainment value, and like being able to let your brain melt for a second.
Yep.
And also, like, it is women arguing, but it's also plots with women that we don't even get to see in most
Yeah.
television. It's like
Yeah.
you're seeing these arguments about their families and the way they run their lives, and it's like very rarely do you turn on your television and you see a screen that's all women. And
Yeah.
so I love that.
I had this conversation with one of my best friends, Shelby, today, and we really were talking about like whether or not the Real Housewives were like promoting feminism, and we decided that it absolutely is because I love like especially New York because that's on right now. Where else can you watch women who are divorced, who are getting wasted, who are like
Yep.
rolling around on the floor or naked in the pool? Um,
Yeah.
it's so good. I love it.
It's good, and it's good. It is like novel in that way because we don't see it. It's also like, where else do you see women who are, they're talking about aging, they're talking about like being
Yes.
divorced, like this like this last chapter of their lives and
Yep.
how they're handling it. And I
Actually,
love Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is also so good this season, and they also talk a lot about parenting and navigating their careers and navigating like how to do everything. And I think they're
yep.
all vastly different and interesting to me. I think that people who don't watch it are probably like, well, this promotes like some sort of stereotype about women or about
No.
housewives. And you're like, I can't promote a stereotype because all of them are so different. You could say a lot of bad things about what they're doing, but at least each one is so different from one another. It's not one stereotype.
Totally.
I could talk about this for days.
What do you think of Denise's husband? Like the high table. Like I have to just like because you brought it up. Like what do you make of that?
I love it. I thought it was so interesting because, like, listen, I think that, if you believe in any kind of like alternative medicine or whatever you want to believe in terms of like
Felt that.
health, and
Yes.
I'm all about it. I think that, you got to do you. I think that's more of an example, though, of like